Imagine this. You've been writing a book for 2.5 years about travelling the world with your family and all the hilarious things that happen. You start building a community on YouTube by making videos every week. And then when the time comes to release your book, you're full of it. You're going to be so great. You're going to be energetic. You're going to just sell it to the world. It's time to board the flight and get on with our trip. So sit back.
You can do it. Come on, you can do it.
In this week's episode, we're going to share with you a very real evening with Liz and Brian. There's going to be candles, there's going to be champagne, there's going to be a few tears, but it is going to be real. And this video is for you, for all those people that have supported me and Brian on this fabulous journey of publishing my very first book, The Travel Bog Diaries. So get yourself a glass of wine or a cup of tea and sit down. I need to tell you something.
It's a Drama, coming to you from Taranaki, New Zealand.
Hello.
Daddy, I love him!
Mother thanks you.
Right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we are here with our special podcast to announce that the book,
The one we promised you?
Yes, the book is about to be released. Actually, by the time this podcast goes out, it will be released.
Yes.
For our audio podcast listeners, just to let you know that we're recording this podcast. We never normally do because it's a bit of a hassle, to be honest.
I know, we never do it on video, so pop over to YouTube if you want to see it there.
But for our gorgeous YouTube watchers, you are so many, you are so loyal, you are so lovely. This is for you.
Yes.
So you can just sit in with us and celebrate this very, very special evening with us.
Yeah, because normally, like we say, we always release every other week audio podcast because we prefer the audio one because we don't have to keep looking at the camera, do we, Liz?
Well, no. And also you don't just look at
you
just sit there in your pajamas. I know. Well, this is the thing. When you do an audio podcast.
We've had to get dressed up. I've had to get my hair cut.
When you do an audio podcast, right, I think it's more intimate. You tend to just keep it like this.
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as there is a video camera pointed at you, you feel like you have to,
smile.
Well, yeah, obviously.
And I don't like smiling.
No. Anyway, how about it?
It's how about it with you, Liz? Because this is how long has this taken you to do?
I have been writing this, but actually, we should just say if you're new to this channel, because do you know what? I reckon when this book goes out now, Brian, we're going to
be a lot of people, isn't there?
We're going to be inundated.
You've already been on the podcast, haven't you, Liz?
So maybe I should just say to you that we are Liz and Brian. We are husband and wife. We meet up every week. Oh, obviously, we live together, so we don't just meet up.
Once a week, we meet each other.
I'm out of the bedroom.
I'm in a different bedroom than Liz.
And we just chat about life. We chat about travel, world travel, having family, being entrepreneurs, trying to start businesses that all enable us to travel the world and be location independent. And for the last 2.5 years, I have been writing a book about our mega family trip that we took around the world for a year. So what happened was 5 years ago, Brian was working as a plumber and a heating specialist. Yeah. I don't like just saying plumber because you were so much more than
I wasn't really a plumber, but I could do plumbing, but it was more heating, electrics and controls and stuff like that.
And we just got to a stage in our life when I think I was about 45 or something like that. Well, I was 47 and you were in your 50s. Not long ago. No. And we just got to that stage, when you just think, is this it? Is this what we're just going to carry on doing
life?
for the last 10 years though, right, isn't it? For the next 10 years, is this going to be it?
Yeah.
Not there was anything wrong with what we were doing, but it was just a bit boring, wasn't it, Bri?
Yeah, well,
it was just, we wanted some adventure.
You don't realise, unless you put your head up, and you take a look around, you don't see what you're doing, do you? Really, and you just carry on through the little furrow that you're burrowing,
And it's a bit harsh, but I wasn't going to say furrowing in a burrow, but
ploughing a furrow.
I was homeschooling the kids, and they were 16 and 13 at the time. Brian had this business, and he was literally working 60 hours a week. I mean,
it was working a lot, weren't you? It was 12-hour days most days, And
we turned around one day, and we were camping at Rotorua, and we said, do you know what? Sorry, I'm just a bit nervous.
Would you like a drink?
Brian, wouldn't it be nice if we had some champagne to celebrate our book launch?
I think that would be the thing, isn't it? Why don't you tell them about Rotorua? And then
don't leave me.
All right, I'm gonna switch microphones, so I'm gonna go over to the freezer So hopefully you can hear me on this microphone now.
So for those of you that aren't
Can you
watching the
still hear
video, I can still hear you.
You can hear me?
Well, you're only
Okay.
over there. Why am I not going to be able to hear you?
Well, because I'm over here.
Okay. For those
Modern
of you
technology.
that aren't watching the video and are listening to the audio podcast, thank you for joining us. We're sitting in our, I don't know what to call this. What is it?
It's
not a lounge, but it's kitchen.
It's a combined living and dining room. It's just open plan, isn't it?
Oh, look at this. And Bryce
Here we
just
go.
went
Look
to
at
the
this.
fridge and
The
got
freezer and got it out the freezer.
us some champagne.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to switch microphones again. So there we go.
just so you know, I'll pick up the story in a minute about traveling the world, but just so you know, the book that I've been working on for the last 2.5 years is just about to be launched. And like I said, by the time you watch this video or listen to this podcast, it will be out there for you to buy. So Bri is just opening the
it, and let's hope
champagne.
hopefully it won't go all over the Roadcaster
Oh yeah,
Pro.
be careful with that, Bri. That wasn't cheap. Oh Christ.
Do you like that?
It's not often you make me jump like that, Bri.
No.
Hey? Big
Do you do
bang,
that more often?
Big
Get
popper.
Get a big pop out?
Oh, and we've frozen the glass here as well, Bri has. And so they're nice and cold. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Shh.
Hopefully.
There's nothing nicer. Is this real champagne? Or are you...
See if we can get that.
Is this real champagne, Bri?
No, this is Jutes, which is from the Marlborough region. It's brewed in Marlborough, which is on the South Island, the north of the South Island, and it's under license to Jutes in France. So hopefully I'm pronouncing Jutes correctly. I would imagine it would be
Didn't we
that.
say when we were recording this podcast, right, we'll record this podcast, but we won't look at the camera. We'll just pretend that we're just doing an audio
And
podcast.
here we are looking at
And all I
the
can
camera.
see is you like this, looking at the camera.
You haven't taken your eyes off the camera yet.
What is that?
Oh, well,
though?
congratulations, Liz.
Cheers,
and
right?
well done. It's been a journey the last 2.5 years, but I'm looking over, the cover is over there looking at me in the iPad, and congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
well done. And let's hope Amazon bestseller.
Thanks, darling.
Well done, you.
Cheers.
Love
Cheers,
you.
everyone.
Cheers. All right.
Oh,
That was the It's a Drama podcast.
yes.
I'm going to drink my champagne.
They won't be able to hear us slurping, though, will they, Brian?
I don't
There's
care.
nothing worse than that, though, is
Hey,
there?
do you know what, Liz? It's a celebration of slurping.
The people
It's lucky we haven't got something to eat.
that are on this podcast now, if you're joining us on this
See how
podcast,
happy Liz is now. She's had her champagne.
flipping love doing video podcast, me.
That we should do one every week. Sit down, go and get yourself a glass of wine and sit down and watch this
come and join
podcast.
us. Yeah, that's
watch
it.
it or listen to it. And just if you're driving, obviously not.
Yeah.
But, if you're sitting in your house, go and get yourself a glass of wine and cheers.
Oh, anyway, look, I was just telling you the story. So going back to 5 years ago, where Bride's working all these hours, I'm homeschooling the kids. They were 16 and 13. To be honest, I wasn't doing much homeschooling because they would it was all online and, they were doing all their own stuff. But obviously I still needed to be there to pretend that I was doing stuff and that. And and we just turned around and said, what would it be like to go and travel the world for a year?
Yeah.
We've seen other people do it because you do, don't you? You see them on Instagram and they're like, oh yeah, we're going traveling the world. And how do they do that?
I know. And you hear all these people, work 4 hours like Tim Ferriss with the 4 hour work week. And it's and that book did play a big part
Oh my
in it,
God,
didn't it? The 4 hour work week. It's like, how can anyone only work 4 hours?
Big shout out to Tim Ferriss. If you haven't read that book, it's called The 4 Hour Work Week. And it's one of those books that you just read and you feel instantly inspired.
You do,
to
because
just be good.
Yeah, even if you've got any job and you can find a little hack that will give more time for yourself, that's what that book does, isn't it?
Do you know what that book said that really, it was like the clicking point in my brain. And I think I can speak for you as well. It was when he said, don't wait until you are retired to do the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Do those things now.
Yeah.
And I know that means like, well, how can you if you haven't got the money? And I understand that. But I think what he meant is like, you can go and house sit in Italy, or you can go and house sit in New Zealand and stay in the most beautiful house overlooking the ocean.
Yep.
And that is your dream. Like, someone has this dream of like, oh yeah, I'm going to sit in this house overlooking the ocean in New Zealand. And he kind of wrote it down. So it meant that these things are possible. You can just do it a different way. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think that's what it is. Because I know he's single and everything. And if you're starting out, then why not do these things?
Just step out of the box and try and find alternative ways.
Traveling.
So we were like, okay, well, how could we do that? How could we take a year off and travel the world?
Yeah.
So we just put our heads together and we were like, look, if we sold the business, and I know we shouldn't have spent that money because that money was for our retirement. Now what we're going to do when we're old? Got nothing,
Do you
haven't
know
we?
what? Yeah, well,
Just
that's the thing.
scabs.
We're just, we're just living in a shoebox on the
Well,
side of the road.
I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know what we're going to do, but we will cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah.
So we said, look, let's just sell the business and take the money. And, we...
Run.
Yeah, basically. See ya.
That's what my ex-business partner said. You're just leaving here with a fistful of money.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just like,
I think
he was bang on, but
bit resentful.
I think because we had the opportunity to do it, or we wanted to do it. That was the biggest thing. Security would go, no, stay in the business, stay in this. I've got to pay the mortgage off yet, and it's like, well, I haven't paid the mortgage off, so I'll sell the house.
And do you know what the other thing is as well? When you say we had the opportunity to do it, and I've often said this, is like people will get money. People spend 10 grand on a car, or even more than that. People spend a lot of money on a car.
People spend 100,000 on a car, and I've never spent more than I bought when I had a business in the UK. I bought a new truck, a pickup truck. I spent £19,000 on it. It was brand new. Got $9,000 back in tax, pounds back in tax, and sold it 6 months later because hated it.
Yeah, well, you didn't hate it, but I hated it. So you did it to make me feel better.
It was the worst vehicle I've ever had.
Was it really?
It was. It was. I loved to. It was nice to drive and look at. It looked right.
It was one of those posh flatbeds.
It was. It was a 2008 Nissan Navara. It was very, very nice. All leather seats, everything. It was like driving a Range Rover, but obviously not as nice. But it just was the most impractical thing to ever work out of. I don't know why anybody would ever have one.
Should we not go into that here, Brian? Because we're going to keep this positive, really.
Yes. Get a van.
This podcast is very positive, aren't we, Brian? Not about people who've got those cars.
Let's not talk about that.
But anyway, the thing is, that book was kind of making you see, look, if you are willing to sacrifice here, you can use that money there. And if you're willing to go without there, you can use that for here.
Yeah.
And so we basically did that. We were like, look, we didn't have any cars, like posh cars or anything.
No.
We sold everything we had in the loft. We went in the loft and we were like, oh yeah, this is a leather jacket that we bought in the 1980s.
Yeah, it was a Harley Davidson jacket. Bought it in Kings Road.
Yeah, and we raised the money for the ticket, the initial ticket to get over to America.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, we were like, look, are we going to take this money that Brian's going to make out of his business? Well, not just you. We're going to make out of your business.
Yeah.
Are we going to take that money and invest it for our future, like our old age? Or shall we just spend it now and make memories that we're never, ever going to forget? And we chose that,
But that's the thing. Nobody knows what's going to happen to you in tomorrow or even the next day. So, it's just like, let's go and do it now. Why not?
Oops.
Whoops.
So we were in a very... I don't want to say, well, yeah, we were. We were in a fortunate position to be able to do that. We were in...
we made it solars. It's not so much a fortunate position. We made it so. It was a lot of hard work. It was like eight years of slogging it.
Yeah,
to be able to do that.
Right.
And I didn't walk out with enough out of that sale. I really didn't. I ended up with, I don't know, $50,000-$60,000, and that was about it. So it wasn't. By the time I paid all my debts back and everything else, that's
look what you did with that. Look what we did with that money.
Exactly, on $100 a day.
Yeah. So for those again that aren't familiar with this story, there we were sat in Rotorua, going, do you know what? Shall we just sell the business, take the money, and go? And we will just sort it out when we come back next year. We will just go for a year. So that's what we did. We were like, okay, let's sell everything. Let's rent our house out. And we worked like dogs, didn't we, to get all the house ready, and the kids were all on board. Well, kind of. They didn't have a choice. That's what makes me laugh with people. They're like, what did the kids say? And it's like, well,
Yeah, but
sorry, but you either come or you're not. So
you
what
stay here. What do you want to do? You look after the dog and wash my car at the weekend.
Yeah. No, they were fully on board.
Yeah, but Sonny he was doing his NCA level 2, wasn't he, at homeschooling?
Yeah.
And he was told, you've got 6 months to do a year's schoolwork. Do you think you can do it? And guess what? He did.
Yeah.
And he took his last exam the day before we left, and he got his results in, I think it was Sri Lanka.
Such a relief, wasn't it, when he got his results? But in a minute, well, first of all, at the end of the podcast, I'm going to read you the very last bit of the introduction of the book. In a minute, I'm going to show you the cover, because I've had I'll just have another gulp of champagne, then I'll show you the cover.
It took a lot, the cover, Liz.
It did.
It really did.
And for those regular listeners of this podcast, you can go back and listen to Book Cover Fear and know all about that. But we're just going to talk to you about the reality of actually going around the world with your family. I've got a brilliant story that I want to share with you. But this book that I've written is full of the normal stuff. Well, not normal even, they're a bit abnormal really, aren't they, Bri? You wouldn't call
Everything
that normal,
in
would
this
you?
book is abnormal.
Yeah, so the abnormal stories.
It's bloody funny though.
Yes, it is bloody funny. The stories that happened to us when we went trotting off around the world thinking we were so cool and Instagrammable and like, look at us, It's like, no, that's not going to be happening.
That's what it started like for the first day, didn't it? Like,
Yeah, it just went wrong right from the start. So it was just like, okay.
Put a camera in front of the kids and they're like, no, don't film me. And you're like, this isn't going to work. Is it?
So shall I just show you the book cover of the book that when you watch this video is going to be out on Amazon?
Yeah. We'll leave the links in the description.
Yeah, we will leave the links on the description. How do you get it up on the iPad? How do you show that?
Well, this is my iPad, so we should be able to fingerprint it. Fingers crossed. There we go. I'll let you show it, Liz.
Are you ready, everyone? Ready? Okay, here we go. Ta-da! So this...
Hopefully it's not too shiny for you.
So this is the Travel Bog Diaries. This is me sitting on the toilet with my bra on and my nicks around my knees and my map on my my map on my knees and my boobs touching my belly. And I'm doing a face that like is saying, should we really have sold Brian's business and taken all that money and decided to go around the world with it? So there you go. That is the...
I have to take my hat off to you for putting that, because we were down the cafe the other day, weren't we? And we're saying, when the book comes out, we'll be able to put a cafe, one on the bookshelf. And your face was like,
sod that.
Oh my God.
No way. I'm not having people down there seeing that. I don't mind strangers on YouTube, but no way am I putting that down the cafe.
No, it was just like...
How would I ever go in and ask for a cappuccino?
Yeah.
Knowing that Ming has seen my belly,
like,
my boobs, my knickers.
That's it, just the usual day down the cafe then.
Right, Ming, you ready? but just to let you know, that book cover, in case you didn't listen to the audio podcast last week, it's a cover that needed to be put on there. It's very brave. It's very...
it's brave.
Yeah,
more than anything, you can't say more than it's brave, because we've uploaded it. So we get the privilege of seeing it uploaded on Amazon, don't you? So you see it against other book covers and things, and it just it stands out.
Oh yes,
it really does. And that's what I suppose we wanted, wasn't it? Like you wanted.
And I've told you before. Sorry, I've got champagne. I've told you, but I'm getting nervous now. Whenever I talk about this cover, I get nervous.
You do get nervous.
But I've told you before that the book inside is full of stories about really funny, real things that happened to us as a family. Like I've told you before about wetting my pants in Sri Lanka, about going to England and getting sloshed at a festival, about going to Vietnam and being... I'm not going to tell you that story because you need to read that one, but there's going to New York and there's a duck involved, and it was flipping messy and hilarious. So that was the cover that needed to go on there, because if you see that cover, you know what's going to be inside the book, don't you, Brian?
It's true. Yeah. And as my cousin said to me once, when in India, never trust a fart.
What? What are you on about? What's that mean?
You're talking about wetting your pants, and it's just like, well, when you're in India, just don't ever trust a fart.
Oh, right. Okay. That's nice.
Yeah, it's just,
So, yeah.
So, right, let's have a top up.
More champagne, Brian. We're empty.
Yes,
we're not going to get sloshed.
Yeah, we just keep banging our microphone stands. So we should have used the boom arms, really, not
We're
these.
sitting in our open plan lounge. That's
if it sounds a bit hollow, sorry about that.
Yeah, and we've got a kitchen in front of us over there, and then we've got the lounge area over there with the couches. Yeah.
Maggie's in a basket.
We've done some videos of that before, so you know where we are. And then this is the table that leads out to the deck where we normally sit to do our podcast. If you're watching on YouTube,
the sea is that way and the mountain is that way.
Oh, do you know what? Today we drove down to the beach because it's been a flipping hectic few days, as you can imagine, trying to get this book launched and everything.
Yep.
We drove down, we got in the car. Well, first of all, we went for a coffee at our usual little place. I didn't take my clothes off. I just said to Ming, no, just 2 cappuccinos, Ming. That'll do for today.
I'll save that for later.
We just had a coffee, really lovely, relaxing morning down there. And then we just got in the car. We were just about to go home to start, doing whatever it was we need to do when you're about to launch a book. And I said to Bride, didn't I? Was like, oh, can we just drive down to Fort St. George and just go and be by the sea? You know, like when you're by the sea and that energy it gives you.
I think that climb that you've done, getting that book to a point, it's like you get to it and it's just like, you want to relax, but you still got a lot more to do. But you just...
I wonder if you lived in like New York or Los Angeles or somewhere like really hip and busy and...
What, like New Plymouth?
No, but I wonder if you... So let's say if you live in New York, right?
Yep.
And you live in... What's the area called in New York?
Greenwich Village.
Yeah, but
village.
like the Manhattan-y or
Well,
the
that's
busy
Manhattan.
area.
It's Manhattan is the island.
And
it's
you
not New
wanted
York.
some space. Oh, I suppose you'd go to Central Park.
Yeah, well,
You'd just go there, wouldn't you,
Yeah,
Brian?
you go to Greenwich Village, then you walk up through Harlem, and then you'd go to
Stop
Central
trying
Park.
to make out that you know your New York,
Well,
Brian.
we've
You've
been
only
there.
been twice.
Do you remember when
Oh,
we were...
yes, you walk up Greenwich Village and then take a left and you're in Harlem. Oh, yes. Yes,
It's
that's
not
what
far
you
off,
would
mate.
do.
I'll just walk up Fifth.
Swing by Saks.
Yeah, that's it.
No, but I'm just wondering, like in New Zealand, you're so, I feel so lucky that I can just go, all right, I need some space. I'm going to go down to the beach and I'm going to let the spray go on my face. And I'm just going to center myself and then I'm going to go home and start,
Yeah.
But I feel really, really, really lucky to be able to do that. And I
Not where you
wonder
are.
what if you are in like a big built up city where you would go.
I know. I suppose you would. If you were in New York, you'd go to Central Park, wouldn't you? As we say New York, Manhattan is what we're saying, isn't it? Like, But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. So I just thought it would be really nice to carry on the conversation about, because you're obviously sitting there thinking, wow, Liz and Brian know how to travel the world. They're flipping brilliant, these two. We've done extensive travel around the world. We've been to God knows how many countries.
And we've worked in places as well, haven't we? You know, France and Canada and
But I
places
want
like
you
that.
to know the truth, as always. I want you to know the truth about what that looks like. And you can read all about the truth in my book, The Travel Bog Diaries, out now on Amazon.
By Liz Deagle.
But let me just share a story with you, okay, about when we left for our world trip. So here we are, never having traveled with the kids before. I mean, when they were small, we took them to Canada and all that. But I mean, like proper backpacks, we're leaving the house, say goodbye to your friends. You're not going to be back in New Zealand for another year. Yeah. And by the way, we've got no money. So you'll be just roughing it. And we left New Zealand and we went over to America. And all that was fine. And the reason we went to America, I write this in the book, it was all part of my plan because we were planning on spending, and we did spend 4 or 5 months in Asia, didn't we?
Yes, we did, yeah.
And while we were in Asia, we were like couch surfing. We went couch surfing all around Japan. Couch surfing is where you sleep on strangers' couches for free. And in return, when they come to your country, they do the same. And we were just like, we were roughing it. And the kids knew we were going to have to do this. So to give them a little bit of a tidbit, I said, oh, how about, to start, because they were like, what do you mean we're going away for a year? And we were, how about we go over to America first? We'll go and see Uncle Dave in Florida.
My brother lives in Florida.
Yeah. We'll go to Disneyland because he's really generous and nice with kids.
He is.
And then we'll go to New York and we'll go and see New York at Christmas and it's going to be absolutely fantastic.
And we're
So
going to
we did
drive.
We did that. We went over to America. There is a chapter in the book in New York where something with a duck happens, but we go over to New York. We spend 6 weeks with family and couch surfing while we were in Washington and then went up to New York. And it was just bliss. And then the kids knew that we were leaving New York. We were going to fly out of New York and we were going over to Sri Lanka.
But
having been homeschooled, they knew nothing about Sri Lanka or Asia.
No, they had a rough idea. Well, but even I was bricking it.
We were scared stiff.
It was
actually,
just
weren't
like,
we, Brian?
oh shit, because
I know.
it was like the last month had just been heaven, hadn't it? Like because we'd been staying with my cousin Mark and MJ and my brother Dave, apart from Charleston and Washington and New York.
We went couch surfing then, yeah.
The last 2 weeks around Christmas was spent with my cousin Mark, and he just treated us like brilliant, wasn't it? It was just amazing.
We've got to just say about this. I hope this podcast, but you've got to know about this. The kids were like, who's this we're going to stay with in New York? And we were like, they were living, Brian's family live in Rochester in upstate New York.
Yeah.
And they were like, who is it? Who are we going to stay with? Because you know what 16 and 13-year-olds are like. They're freaking antisocial and all they want to do is go on their phone. We're like, oh yeah, they're, your dad's family, they live up in Ups. Oh, we've never met them. Oh, that's fine. We're going to spend Christmas with them.
My Auntie Anita still, she lives in Woodgate Terrace.
It's going to be fine. And I'll never forget, we were in a hire car. We'd left New York and we were driving up to Rochester and it started to snow. And I'm talking like really heavy snow.
It was lake effect snow.
That the kids had never seen in their life, right? So we're like, you're looking at the sat nav. It's like, how far are we? Where is it? Where did they live? And we're like, okay, not far now. Just about 4 minutes down this road. Anyway, we swing into this flipping big cul-de-sac.
Yeah. And its own roundabout there, didn't it? Almost,
and
like
it's
in the
snowing,
thing.
okay? And it's nearly Christmas, and it's just like
minus
beautiful
60
snow.
degrees. Yeah.
And we turn up, and at the end of the cul-de-sac is Brian's cousin's house, Mark's
Griswold's house.
And it's got white fence all around, and it's got the most beautiful pitch roof, and she decorated it all in lights, and there's a Christmas tree, and it was snowing, and I just never forget Tessa's face. She was just like, oh my God.
Died and gone to heaven, hasn't she?
Bliss, And we walked in, and the family, I've never met his wife. I'd never met his wife before. She didn't ever meet the kids before. And they just opened their arms and they were like, welcome, come in for Christmas. You are welcome.
It was bliss,
Here's some
wasn't it?
eggnog. Here's some American goodies,
Here's some New Zealand vodka. I've got this New Zealand vodka for you. It's like, oh, wow, I've never even seen this in New Zealand.
Right.
It was great, wasn't
They
it?
knew two Alkies were coming to stay with them.
I know.
But Tess, my daughter,
Box
she
of
was
wine.
it was like turning up at E.T.'s house. Well, not E.T.'s house, obviously, but you know what I mean, Brian?
Yeah.
When you see those films in America and you're like, I bet it's not like that.
I know.
It is. It is like that.
It is. It is in Mark's house anyway.
Oh,
and Anita and Ed.
It was. It was just
amazing.
wonderful. So we had this amazing Christmas, and they treated us so lovely, and it was perfect, and it was American, and there was turkey, and there was snow, and there was presents, and it
Big
was
tree.
Beautiful.
The tree was huge.
Yeah, the tree was about the size of this house.
Yeah.
And the kids were just in heaven, and they were like, "Oh, this is what the rest of the trip's going to be like."
Yeah.
Like,
My dad knew people.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
Guess what, kids?
And then that Monday, we had to fly out to Sri Lanka. And like Bryce said, you were just bricking
And
it.
do you know what? We flew via, I can't remember the name of the airlines now, Kuwait Airlines. And we had to fly via Kuwait. Now that with the kids. Wow.
Why?
Because we got there and everyone had yashmaks and everything, and they'd never been in that environment before. Would have seen all these
Was
people.
there a war?
No.
What do you mean then? Why was it just...
Because it was just the Middle East. They just landed we landed in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And it was just completely...
You girl, get your ankles, get them
it
out.
was just like, Tess was like, oh my God, where are we? Everyone's masked up.
Where's New York?
And it was just like, where's Mum and Dad taking us?
Yeah.
Like, and it was just...
And they were on the plane and they were like, so can you just tell us what Sri Lanka is? And I was like, oh, it's like paradise. It's beautiful. It's just palm trees and you're going to go on the beach and you're going to drink coconut water. It's just going to be heaven, and they were like, oh, okay, so where are we staying when we get there? And we said, and it was true. I had booked this it wasn't nice, obviously, but it was good. It was a hotel.
We were now on a budget. Yeah.
On booking.com. I'd gone on booking.com. This is just to let you know, if you're sitting there thinking, wow, they're experienced. I'd gone on booking.com and I'd booked this hotel. But we were flying into Sri Lanka really late at night. So for one night, we had to stay in this Airbnb thing, and we went and stayed there. And that was a story in itself, because the guy was just turned up completely off his face, drunk, wasn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah, we turned up in a was it an Uber we arrived? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? But he came out in his underpants. Yeah. You remember? And it was just like, the kids were like, he opened this iron gate, and it was just like, where are we? And the kids were like, oh.
Well, I said to the kids, don't worry, we're going to our hotel tomorrow. They were like, why is the guy in his underpants?
Yeah, and why is there no windows in the bedroom?
It's hot.
just air bricks.
But so they were like panicking. They didn't sleep a wink that night. They were literally just laying there sweating and going, what's going on? Why is he outside in his underpants drinking lots?
Throwing up.
Yeah, he was throwing up. The owner of the Airbnb.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
It was terrible, wasn't it?
Imagine that. Do you know what I reckon that was, Bri? I reckon he was celebrating because he had a guest.
because he had a guest. Yeah, first ever guest.
It was, wasn't
They're
it?
going to stay in the I don't know, the prison
I should
cell.
show you those photos. Honestly, one day I'll show you those photos of the kids. They're in sleeping bags and they're just laying there like this.
Yeah, they had like where the terracotta tiles meet the wall, I should say. It was just open.
Yeah.
And then there was air bricks high up, and there was no windows, and each bed had its own.
Oh, it was horrible.
Oh, it was
And all I was thinking was...
just lizards running all over the roof and stuff.
All I was thinking was fine, because tomorrow we're going to get in a tuk-tuk and we're going to go to our hotel and it's going to be fine because we're going to stay there for 3 nights. And I kept telling the kids this. So the next morning we get up, they haven't slept a wink. They're just grotty and moaning and slouchy and teenagery and what are we doing? Why can't we go back to New York? And the guy just stinks of booze and there's sick on the road. It's just like, okay, kids, get in the tuk-tuk. So we get in the tuk-tuk and Bryce said to the driver, okay, here's the address. And we're driving along in the tuk-tuk and all the sides are open and we're taking videos like, oh my God, look at us. We're in Sri Lanka. Isn't it so cool? Put it on Instagram quick. And we're driving along. And all of a sudden we see the driver, he's like slowing down and shaking his head. And we're like, well, it's okay.
What's up?
It's
It's a hotel.
good.
We're going to a hotel. There's not that many around
And
here.
he goes to Brian, give me the address again.
Yeah.
So Brian holds his phone over and says, look, this address.
This was about a half an hour drive, and it was out through the country and stuff from where we were, like, you know.
And he turns around and he goes, no hotel. And we're like, what?
But
And he said, we said, it's this address. He said, I'll take you to this address. So he drives down this street that looks like something out of a...
he talked to a couple of people as well, hadn't he?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because unknown to us, like, you know, because we couldn't understand him.
He pulled over, didn't he? And
Yeah.
he said, like, where is this, hotel? And we were like, no, there is a hotel. We were thinking, you're just trying to rip us off. Like, you're just trying to, I don't know, smuggle us.
Yeah, that's it,
Use us for our bodies.
I've seen your butt cover.
yeah, exactly. And he said, I will take you to the hotel. So he drives the tuk-tuk. He was such a nice guy. Drives the tuk-tuk and we're going down all this bumpy road like this, like all these potholes.
Through wet concrete.
It was crap, wasn't it, Brian?
Unbelievable, wasn't it?
And we turn up and he went, there's your hotel. And the kids are in the back, like, what's going on?
Cement mixer in the driveway.
Yeah. And we looked over and it was just, there was nothing.
It was closed down, wasn't
I
it?
just remember that cat.
Yeah.
That cat with the one ear just came running out of
laughing.
the building site.
Say, we've got your money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Booking.com, eh?
Booking.com.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's not to say bad things about Booking.com
'cause they
because
did
I'm an
give us
affiliate with them.
They did give us an instant refund.
They did.
They were fantastic, to be
But
honest.
can you imagine now trying to explain to the
Yeah,
kids?
we've got nowhere to stay tonight.
Yeah, and the tuk-tuk driver's like, where do you want to go? Well, I don't know.
Let's get back to the drunks.
Yeah, let's go back to the drunks. We
It's
like
the only place we
alcohol.
know.
So we had to go back to the drunks with our tail between our legs, going, we like alcohol. We don't mind the smell of sick. We actually like lizards.
Do you know that night, Liz? I was actually, I don't think I ever told you about that, but it's like,
God.
we got there and obviously, first night, it's like, it's been pretty stressy today. So I'll go and get a bottle of wine. I'll ask, I can't remember his name now. Ask him if he can take me down to the because everything's like a bottle store. It's like a hole in the wall with
you can't
iron
buy wine in the
bars.
supermarket
It's
or
very
anything.
very weird, like
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going down because I've got another party tonight." Obviously, I don't know why. He's
Yeah, I
having all
bet he
these
bloody
parties.
did. Because he knew we were coming back for 3
Yeah,
nights.
there you
That's
go.
why.
And he said, "I'll take you down there." I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, he'll go in the car or something." Back of the motorbike.
Oh,
It was Liz. He was just, they just not mad drivers, but they just obviously, or you just know when someone's driven that bike since he was 6 years old.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Like, they drive very well, but they're very confident. But I'm on the back going,
Were you nervous?
trying to
Brian?
stay. Oh,
yeah, you're not a
it
good
was like I
passenger.
was just thinking, first day of the holiday, I don't want to come off, because it's
Positive thinking, that isn't
Like,
it,
that's
Brian?
it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look after my family.
Oh, Brian, took my champagne up.
Yeah,
I'm having a good
brought me
time.
indigestion out of that, Liz.
So when you went to get the wine, what happened? You just turned up at the little window.
It was the bike ride that was terrifying.
it?
Yeah, it was like because we're going up and down potholes, we're going up on the
That's
curb,
enough, Brian. Don't overflow it.
and all stuff like that. Yeah, sorry, you asked me to pour some more, so I was obliging. Oh, I say.
Oh, I'm really sorry if you're listening to this audio podcast. It's much better as a video. Go onto YouTube and watch the video.
No, it's good. It's
Yeah.
good. It's
So
real.
that was
That's what it's about, isn't it, Liz? It's keeping it real.
It is keeping it real.
Yeah.
And that is the whole thing about this book, The Travel Bog Diaries by Liz Deacle.
Yep. Yeah.
Out now on Amazon. Not saying, but yeah, it's
Around the world as well. So
Yeah.
uk.com, .au, .india.
The
all those.
subtitle is The One Woman's Hilarious Confessions of Surviving Family World Travel. And that's exactly what it is. So
Well, why don't you read the last bit of your chapter?
no, I'm going to save that to the end.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to save it to the end.
Well, you've been going over half an hour now.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll just wrap up then. So, right, stop putting pressure on me.
It's just that, that was that.
What? You hungry?
No.
What are we having for dinner?
We're actually having lobster thermidor.
No way.
Yes. I've got to make the thermidor sauce yet.
Where did you get that from?
I got lobster tails.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Ah, yes.
There you go.
All right. Okay. So see you then. Here's the book. Bye then.
$13 a tail. I got 4 tails.
Oh, Bri.
Because it's been very windy the last couple of days.
Oh my God, my mouth's watering.
The fishing boats haven't been out. So there's no fish.
Yes.
No fish in the fish shop.
Oh, right, really?
They're closed till Thursday. In the
Right,
fish shop.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, Bri.
Yeah.
Should
Hey.
you have it with chips, Bri?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have any champagne to have with
Cheers,
it. That's
Brian.
the only thing. It's
Cheers.
that's what it says on the BBC. I looked at how do you make thermidor sauce, and it came up chips and lobster thermidor.
Oh my God, you've got to have chips with lobster.
That's just
That's the only way.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, well, I've got to make this quick then now because I didn't know I was having lobster
See how,
for tea. So I
how
wouldn't-
happy Liz is now.
Oh my
It's like,
God. Champagne, books done, lobster.
lobster thermidor.
I just wanted to, you probably don't know this, but earlier when we were talking about, when you said about words and you were like, do you ever get stuck? And
Right.
did you remember asking me that about you? Anyway, so earlier on, Brian was saying that we were down the cafe and Brian was like, what's been the hardest part of this writing thing about, did you ever get stuck for words? And I just wanted to share something with you because when I put the manuscript back to the editor, when they edit your book, my editor, Hilary, absolutely lovely woman.
She's been great, hasn't
She's been
she?
fantastic. She sent it back and she said, you use these words a lot, Liz, so just change it up for something else. And the word that I always use apparently is perfect. Perfect. Oh, that's perfect.
Perfect.
Lobster is perfect. She said, you've used it about 52 times in your book, Liz, so maybe just change it up a little bit. So that was one of them. And I think the other one was mental,
Chicken Oriental.
yeah, she's a bit mental, so she can't do that and I thought, okay, well, all right then. So anyway, I took the book and I thought, okay, hang on, I've got to think of the line now. So I'm sitting on a train in Sri Lanka. I've wet my pants. They stink of wee. I'm
Nice.
opposite. It was a very romantic trip.
Great being a woman, isn't it?
I'm sitting opposite this really lovely, attractive, sexy couple.
Me?
No, they're young, Brian.
Oh,
They were
right.
young
Yeah.
travelers, lovely. And she was just engrossed in this book that she was reading. And she was laying across his lap. And he was like this, like going like this on her hair, like this, just playing with her hair like this, Brian. Yeah. And they were just, like when you look at lovers and they're just like, just like lovers.
Always looking at lovers, me.
And I'm just sitting there like this, smelling of wee. And the line in the book is, I wanted to know what she was reading. So I say in the book, what is she reading? And I say, I wanted to go over and put my head under her arm because she was like that and see what she was reading. But I don't want to do that because stinking of piss is one thing, but looking like a wacko mental person is another. Anyway, so I had to change this line out and I could not think what to change it to. Stinking of piss is one thing, but being labeled I don't know. What is the word? What is the word? And I couldn't think of this word.
English?
And so I was down the cafe, obviously.
Where everything happens.
Yeah, where everything
Even
in New
on
Zealand
last
happens.
podcast happened.
I was down the cafe and I was talking to a couple of friends of ours. We were talking to a couple of friends of ours down there, weren't we? Kevin and Daniil.
Yep.
And someone drove over. He was like talking. He's a Kiwi, and he was talking. And one of his mates drove over the other side of the road and did something. And he turned to me and he went, "God, that guy, he's doolally, eh? Eh? He's doolally, eh? And I'm like, have to go home now.
See ya.
Doolally, Brian.
What a name, eh?
When you read that line in the book, doolally, came from my friend down in the cafe in Taranaki, just like that. Like, all these words that I've written, 60 odd thousand words, couldn't think of the word, but that guy just went, yeah, he's doolally, that guy. And, I'm like,
so
yes.
when you hear it, isn't it? It's perfect. It's just like,
doolally, it's such a good word.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a British word. I just thought only English people use that.
Well, doolally, yeah. Where did doolally come from?
Yeah, but he's mouldy. Like, he's through and through New Zealand. So how does he know that word?
Yeah.
And how did I not know it?
And it's one of those words that used to be used quite a lot, but it's not used very much nowadays. So, yeah.
Doolally.
Yeah, because it says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doolally. How do you spell it?
I'm going to go doolally if I don't go home and have my lobster right now. Yeah. So is there anything else do you want me to read? I'm a little bit drunk to read the book.
No, you're not. Not that much.
I feel a little bit giddy.
But that's because you're probably tired as well. Like, so you were going to put, talk about putting it on Amazon, or do you want to read the book?
You seem a little bit nervous to me.
I'm not nervous. I'm just waiting for you to read this section, last section.
It's me that holds this show together, and I get the feeling that the roles are a little bit swapped. Well, I am a little bit giddy.
Yes.
I'm a little bit giddy and excited.
Yeah, well, you would be after 2.5 years and getting out there. And then this is the podcast that was supposed to be done in the day and has ended up being the night.
I know.
And, I don't even you can see us now because it's getting that bloody dark, isn't it? Like,
Go and have a look on the camera and see if you can see us. No, don't leave me.
No, I won't.
No.
Can always switch microphones again.
No. But yeah, so what do you want me to do then? I'm just going to read the last little bit because I know the very loyal followers have been listening to this podcast and they've been hearing me read the introduction.
Yeah.
And there is an audio book of this book coming too. We're going to be starting it. Well, we've had loads of goes at it.
We've had a few goes at it, yeah. We've built a recording studio in the wardrobe.
I've got to say,
what?
You're flipping brilliant, you are, Bri.
Thanks.
No,
Why?
you are. You are, Bri.
Why? Because I can use 2 microphones.
No, Bri, you are a brilliant man.
Oh.
You are.
Anyway, let's get some more champagne in that girl. Hey, come on. Honestly, there's no vodka in this at all.
No, I was trying to be sincere.
You're just because you're giddy, Liz.
Why do you get nervous when I'm nice to you?
Why do you think? God's sake, you've seen our video channels, haven't you? Yeah.
No, Brian.
Holy moly.
I'm just saying, you're going to make that audiobook so great.
We will, yeah.
Yes, you will.
Liz is reading the audiobook, by the way, without the champagne.
Right, come on then. I'm going to read you this last bit of the thing. Get it up then, Bri. Oh. Okay.
It's doolally. This has got doolally on me. I'm losing it.
Okay, right.
I say.
Okay, I've got it on the Kindle now, so I'm going to be...
It is on the Kindle.
Please bear with me.
Why don't you show a doodle?
No, I'm not going to show the doodle. Oh, okay. Bri, this is going to be too long for me to read. Okay, right. I'm going to be reading... All right, you ready? This will never happen again, by the way.
Okay, reading live on YouTube.
Next time I read this, I won't have had champagne. Okay. So, Liz, English voice on now, proper Liz.
3, 2, 1.
This book is not your average family travel guide. I wish it were, because then my kids would be able to read it without dying of embarrassment. But it isn't. You're about to discover what happens when an ordinary family does something extraordinary. You'll get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but you probably should have kept that to yourself truth. Because as much as I'd like you to believe that I am a cool, Instagrammable hippie chick who floated around the world in her long white cheesecloth dress, giggling with her hunky husband and tickling the cheeks of her adorable and very intelligent teenagers, wondering at all the wondrous wonders of the wonderful world, the truth was quite the opposite. The only thing that my son wondered about was why the Wi-Fi was so shit in Colombo. But do not despair, because while I might not be able to tell you how to get from Washington to Warsaw on the back of a water buffalo, I can offer you something far more valuable. Inspiration. Because after reading this book, it is my hope that you will feel inspired to have an adventure of your own. Because up until last week, I didn't even know that Ireland was part of the United Kingdom. And I lived in England for 48 years. Seriously, if I can do it, anyone can. While I'm at it, it's also my hope that you will share my book with millions of your friends so I can finally afford Botox. Thanks in advance. That's it. The introduction to my book is done. It's time to board the flight and get on with our trip. So sit back.
You can do it. Come on, you can do it.
Enjoy the ride, and for God's sake, don't slop wine down your grey tracky pants because you didn't keep the receipt. Remember?
Well done, you.
Wow, this has been the most emotional.
It has.
The most emotional.
I'm not surprised. Jeez, Liz. Look what you've just done.
Yeah.
You've self-published a book. You know,
Yeah.
60,000 word book for your first self-published book. Promoted it yourself. Done everything yourself.
Do you not find, I don't know if you find this or not, there's a fine line between, like emotion, like real happiness and then like verging on just like tears, it's just like that emotion is just.
Yeah, but you hold it back because you got to keep level and keep moving forward, and then the emotions just wash over you, and then all of a sudden, it's not so much a wash, but you've not been here before for quite a time, and it's that type of thing, isn't it? It's just, wow.
And it's very, very new ground. It's just, as much as you go and be on YouTube and podcasts and things like that, and you're like, oh yeah, I've talked about this before, and it's, I don't know, like a YouTube video is so different than going, look at this is my book, it's just
5 things for this, 5 things for that. And this is putting yourself out there, and you literally are looking just at the cover alone. You're putting yourself right out in front and going, hey, this is it. This is what I am. And this is who you're appealing to, is people that like us can do these wonderful, amazing things.
I just want to say, if you knew how much, I can't believe that we are sitting in front of a camera with champagne, crying as usual, and
you do.
in front of microphones to our podcast, to you, our podcast listener, that
You're
has
out
been
there in the dark.
Yeah, that you've been with us, and I can't believe that we've got you.
I know.
We've got you. You're there. What's the word? You're here. Yeah. I can't believe it.
But without you out there, we would not do this, and the support that you give us, we don't get a penny actually for doing podcasts.
Right, we're millionaires. Stop lying.
God, yes.
Watch YouTube. We're rolling in it.
Rolling in it.
We drink champagne on our podcast.
We do actually. We get
get it up, Brian.
we get $130 a month from YouTube. Wow, go YouTube. Yeah.
Do you know what? It's worth it just for the people.
It
anyway, now I've stopped crying, and I as soon as I start talking about things like that, it makes me just very emotional. But I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for letting me read the book to you. Thank you for going out to not YouTube, Instagram, Amazon, Amazon right now, and just ordering your copy of the Travel Bog Diaries. And
you can get it Kindle, paperback, or hardback.
Yes, you can.
All those versions.
Yeah. Just thank you. Really.
Send it to a friend.
Just thank you.
Yeah. Send it to one of your friends and send it as a gift on Amazon or whatever, And
like I say, if you're watching on YouTube, I really hope that you enjoyed this video version of the podcast, and we've been looking forward to doing this, haven't we?
We have. It's just we haven't had time to do it, and literally today we started to want to do it 3 times, and it was like, it was gorgeous blue sky day, and we could have done it with the windows open and this, that, and the other, but it got later and later, and then here we are at 6:45 at night.
Right, let's go and have our lobster thermidor.
I think it's time for lobster thermidor, really, isn't it?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm now at the end of this journey, this book writing journey. It's been an honour to share it with you, and thank you so much for being there for me and just for the support. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll leave the description in below click the link.
If you're on
and
YouTube.
Go and get the book because it's a great read.
Yeah,
You
we'll
know.
also leave the description on the the audio podcast too.
And it's a
So-
great book to leave in the loo as well. That you pick it from the shelf and just read for 20 minutes.
And if you
Just
do
use a
read
little
it,
chapter.
if you do read it and you love it, then please. Well, no, actually, I shouldn't say that. If you read it, please just leave a review.
You have to leave a review.
Yeah,
Go
just leave an
go
honest
a
review.
Good,
Yeah.
honest review.
Yeah.
Obviously 5 stars. Yeah.
Any review will be lovely. Thank you so much. And next time you see us, I will be sober and I will
In
be
the day.
sitting in the daytime. And I will be celebrating being a #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much.
So kia kaha, stay strong. Kia u, stay true. And that's true to yourself. And you can do it. You really, really can.
Okay. Speak to you next time. Bye.
See you now. Bye.
Oh, that looks good. Hello, we're back. It's the next morning after last night. We're not feeling that hungover, are we, Bri?
Is this introduction or is this the end?
No, this is the end, but we forgot to
Oh,
say,
right.
we went to bed last night. We woke up we woke up this morning and we were like, did we even say to people where you can buy the book? And we're like, no.
Did we do a podcast?
Yeah, so we actually did all that podcast to promote the book and didn't even tell you where you can buy the Travel Bog Diaries. So we would very much appreciate it, or I certainly would appreciate it, if you would go over to www.thetravelbogdiaries.com to order your book anywhere. We've put links for wherever you are in the world. You can order it on Amazon wherever you are. So that would be fantastic. You can also go to lizdequel.com, but the Travel Bog
Yes.
Diaries is...
The Travel Bog Diaries was made just for the book. But
Brian made the
lizdequel.com
website, so
has got
good.
other things in there as well,
Yeah.
which you can listen to podcasts and various things like that on there as well.
So, like we said, we will put a link in the description, but we just wanted to say to you, thanks so much. And I hope last night was a good night for you, because it certainly was for us.
We haven't even watched it yet, let alone edit it, have we?
Can't
Like,
remember doing it.
Yeah.
So, thanks so much. Have a fantastic week and head over to thetravelbogdiaries.com and order your copy of my new book. Yeah.
Travel Bog Diary, but hardback, Kindle, or paperback.
Yes, and
The
don't
whole
forget
thing.
that the audiobook, because we know how you love to sit and listen to my dulcet tones, the audiobook of that version, where I am actually narrating it, is going to be out in a few weeks.
Yep.
We're going to start working on that in a couple of days, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to get it together. And there's a lot of editing goes into an audiobook. You don't realise, so it takes a couple of weeks to get it done.
Do you remember
and
last night, Brian, I said to you, I just remember that. I was like, Brian, I want to tell you how wonderful you are. Anyway, so let us know, think in the comments what you thought of this podcast. And if you're listening on our audio, thank you so much. You're absolutely gorgeous. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, so go steady and kia kaha, stay strong, kia u, stay true, and we'll see you, or maybe not see you next week, but definitely we'll be here.
Thetravelbogdiaries.com, go.
Yeah, lizdequel.com.
Bye.
Bye now.